Hey guys, okay, so we talk a little bit about course management today, and I say a little bit because it's a very broad topic that you probably spend a lifetime sort of developing as a skill, all right? But possibly not enough time is put into it, and not enough teaching is done on that subject. Two real important things that you want to be on top of, and the most important is distance. Okay, and I'll touch more on that in a second. Again, the second thing you need to have is you need to have an idea of what shape you're going to hit, or at least try to hit. All right, so if that means you're just going to hit it straight, then fair enough. But when it comes to course management, understand that when you hit or trying to hit the ball straight, you bring in sort of generally 5 possibilities. So you could hit the ball straight, you could hit the ball long left, long right, short left, short right. So it makes it a little bit more difficult to plot and pick correct targets, which is essentially what we're trying to do in course management. All right, but that is one option. Otherwise, know if you're going to fade the ball or if you're going to draw the ball. Just while we quickly touch on that, generally speaking, if you miss it left, okay, obviously means the face is a little bit more closed, then you're going to generally miss it long left. Okay, slightly open face, added loft, short right. Okay, so when you are trying to shape the ball, you do sort of cut your margins generally at least in half. So something there to think about already. Okay, and then most importantly, distance. Probably the most important part of course management is distance. The first part of that is knowing how far you hit your golf clubs. All right, most people should have at least a 5-meter range. All right, so obviously, if you're going to miss hit the golf ball, whether that be sort of thin or fat or whatever, it could go as much as 20 or 30 meters further or shorter. Okay, you can't plot for that. So, just take that out of the equation. It's okay. That's unnecessary information you don't need. Okay, assume you're going to hit the ball pretty solidly and pretty close to the middle of the golf club. That's the only way you can plot effectively. And you should have a 5-meter range. 10-meter range is not good enough. Okay. 10-meter range means if you're just a little bit out, you're probably missing the green. Okay, and then the second thing you have to understand, all right, is then adjusted yardage or adjusted distance, if you want to call it that. Okay, and basically this is an idea of that, let's say for argument's sake, you hit your 7,950 meters. Okay, that's under normal conditions, flat lie, no wind, no elevation changes, a regular temperature. Okay, so on a windy day, okay, or if the shot you're about to hit is severely up or downhill, or if it's very cold or very hot, okay, it will affect how far the ball goes. All right, so the idea with adjusted distance is that you take that distance, okay, and you give it a value. So instead of saying, okay, this is into the wind, it's 1 club extra, instead of saying that, you give that wind a value. So let's say you give the wind a value of 10 meters. Okay, so now the shot that you got is not 150 meters, it's now 160 meters. Okay, so then you've got your temperature, hot temperature. Okay, the ball's going to go further, so you can take off yardage. Cold temperature, the ball's not going to go as far, so then you can add yardage. Okay, elevation, quite obvious. And then from there, you can also then go tactically. Okay, so it's not rocket science, it's just that people don't always know how far they hit their clubs, and sometimes they don't think they're good enough, to select targets this way. But you're not actually going to get better, because you won't know how far you're hitting your clubs unless you do this correctly. So hitting a 7-iron on the range, 150 meters, 20 times in a row, is a good start, but it's not going to help you on the golf course if you're not plotting correctly and adjusting your yardage. So it's pointless then hitting that club perfectly 150 meters, but the shot that you're hitting is not playing 150 meters. So it might be uphill into the wind. It might be playing 170 meters. You hit the most perfect 7-iron because you always hit 7-iron 150 meters and you're short of the green. And that can lead to bunkers or water or whatever the case may be. But basically it can lead to bogeys and double bogeys and never actually getting better. Okay, and then still in the distance category. Okay, this comes off the tee box. All right, now this doesn't mean hit it further. Okay, it just means have an idea how far you can hit and carry your driver, your 3-wood, your 5-wood if you've got it, and one of your long irons, whether it be a 3-iron or a hybrid or 2-iron, whatever the case may be. Have a distance, how far you hit those clubs, especially carry distance. And then by doing that, you can then plot accordingly. So if you have a hole that's sort of laid out, and let's say you hit your driver 260 meters, and right at about 250 meters, there's 2 bunkers flanking the fairway. Okay, it gets very narrow around about that area. Okay, then you can quite comfortably go, oh, I know that I hit my 3-wood 225 meters, it's not going to reach those bunkers. Therefore, if I hit my 3-wood, I have a massive landing area. If I hit my driver, I have a very small landing area. Okay. Possibly if you hit your driver a little bit longer, you can say, oh, I can hit my driver over those bunkers, and therefore my landing area gets larger again. So what you're trying to do is pick the largest area that you can land the golf ball in. All right, and then what club do I hit that distance that I can now execute that shot? All right, and then you just plot accordingly. So on any given day, it depends what's laid out in front of you. Okay, any given day, you might hit 14 drivers, you might only hit 2 drivers. Okay, it's all dependent on how the course lays out on the day. Okay, and then the last part of distance, okay, when we're approaching, okay, and it comes a little bit into what we talked about at the end of adjusted yardages. All right, but basically what it means is the longer the shot that you have in, okay, the bigger margin of error you need to give yourself. Right. So let's say you're hitting your short clubs in, okay, then if the flag is tucked front left, let's say, most golfers will know, okay, cool, my safer shot is a little bit long, a little bit right. Okay. That doesn't mean if you've got a pitching wedge in your hand, you hit it in the middle of the green. So what I like to do is under 100 meters, okay, is 3 meter safety net. Okay, so if I've got under 100 meters, then I like to hit 3 meters to the right of a left-hand flag, or 3 meters long to a front flag, whatever the case may be. Okay, 100 to 150, 5 meter grace that you're giving yourself. Okay, so 5 meters away from a tight flag. Okay, and then 150 to 200, you can stretch that to 8 meters. Now you are starting to look more at the middle of the green. Okay, so just little things to think about there in terms of distance, okay, and how it varies from the tee, okay, to the approach shot, okay, depending on what club you have, okay, and then most importantly, adjusting that yardage so that you get rewarded when you do hit a good golf shot. Okay, course management is how we pick targets and make decisions, okay, that reward us for all the work we're putting into our golf. Okay, so it's really about putting the icing on the cake, I guess. Okay, make sure you work hard at it and learn from it every single time you go out on that course.